The stories you're about to hear are all true. They may sound like bullcrap, but it's real and it really happened. Welcome to my wild ass life. So this one happened when I was living in Costa Rica. A lot of people know I play bass. I don't as much as I used to, but there once was a time I played a lot. And at the time, I didn't have a bass. Now I'd made friends with a guy named Jim McDougal, Jimmy Mack, an amazing musician. Um, Still to this day, he's down in Costa Rica with several of his musical projects in Puerto Viejo, um, doing great. Well, at the time, he had this bass guitar hanging on his wall, just kind of like as a display. And I was visiting Jimmy one day at his house, and I'd noticed that bass a few times before, and it was beautiful, beautiful, natural wood, beautiful bass. So I asked him, I was like, "Hey man, what's up with this bass hanging here?" He said, "Well, as you probably know by now, electronics they just don't do very well in the tropics, and the preamp in this bass has gone out, and it's not easy to get a replacement here. I'd love to be able to play it." Well, I mean, I had for some years been working on my own guitars and stuff. So I said, "Well, do you mind if I take a look at it and see if it can be fixed?" He said, "No, hell no, of course not." So I was actually able to take it and wire it up and bypass the preamp, reuse the pots, and make it work as a passive bass, which means without the active electronics, just plug in and go. Well, Jimmy was astounded. He said, "Man, you know how many people have tried that and come up with idea to do that, and nobody's been able to do it." He said, "Listen, you need a bass to play. So why don't you just hold on to that and play it?" Well, now this bass, it was a fretless bass. I'm a fretted bass player usually, but I played with fretless, so I was like, hell yeah. You know, this is a way for me to work on my chops. Now this was at the time I didn't realize it. It's a very special bass guitar. This was a Stombal design. Very, very high value boutique bass. Not only was it a Stombal design, it was one of the very first basses that Chris Stombal ever built. Had his signature in pencil on the back of the headstock. So at the time, I was living in a jungle lodge about a mile or two outside of the little town limits of Puerto Viejo on about a 28-acre property that itself was about a half mile back off of the main road down some paths. Well, my friend on the Hotel Puerto Viejo, my buddy Kurt, he's still down there running a hotel. Well, we started a jam night at the hotel because there were so many musicians that came through the area, and so we made a little place for a little night for musicians to get together and have little jam sessions. So we got through one night, and right directly next to the hotel was this little nightclub. I can't remember the name right offhand, but I mean, it was loud. It was a discotheque. Till 4 o'clock in the morning, they rocked their ass off, playing reggaeton and salsa and dance music. And so after we finished at the jam session one night, I decided I'm gonna go next door, go shake my ass for a little while. Back when I used to could do stuff like that. So I go next door and I'm dancing, have a few friends there, and we're all having a good time. And this really, really attractive girl kind of caught my eye, and I caught her eye at the same time. I guessed. I mean, I wasn't a gray haired old man back at the time. I still had a nice red beard and everything. So we came together and we started dancing. We had some drinks. We had a good time and started moving on into about 2:30 in the morning or so. I said, "Listen, I'm ready to get out of here. I'm done for the night with this. Um, got a nice little jungle lodge. How would you and your friends like to come to the jungle lodge, hang out with my friends?" Because my drummer at the time, Ismail, he was there at the jungle lodge, and pretty sure I can't remember. I was pretty sure there was someone else there with him. But anyway, so I said, "Let me go next door and get my bass from the hotel. We'll head that way. I'll meet you guys right back here. I've got some great friends that are taxi drivers that know how to get there. They'll take us right there to the place and not charge us an arm and a leg. We'll get there." So I walk over and I stood at the hotel for a minute or two, talking to the night guy. Grabbed my bass and said, "All right, Checho, I'll catch you tomorrow, man." Walked back over to the discotheque, and the girl was there with one other friend. The other two girls she was with had gone, but she was there with one other friend and this guy. And they were like, "Listen, we're going back to San Jose, but we can drop you off on the way. We've got a taxi." So alarm bells should have went off in my head, but they didn't. At that point, the little head had taken over thinking for the big head. So I was like, "Yeah, come on, let's go." So we jump in. The two girls jump in the back with the guy. I'm bigger than all of them. I mean, I'm 6 foot 200, 6'1", 200 pounds. Bigger than your average Costa Rican by a good measure. So like, "You can sit in the front. You've got longer legs." Okay. So we get in and I tell the taxi driver in Spanish, where we're going. So, okay. So we pull up to the gate. Now to get into this place, there's a gate. You have to go through the gate. Then there's one little guest house. And then you walk down the aforementioned almost half mile of paths over bridges, over through creeks and everything, back to get to the main area where the main house and the pergola and a couple of other guest houses were at. So we pull up. I was like, "All right, so there we are." And the guy that was with these girls in the back seat said, hey, are you going to pay the taxi? And I said, yeah, no problem. The average taxi drive to my house from town at the time was about 2,000 colones, about $4. Yeah, no problem. Pull up. So I asked the taxi driver, so, hey man, how much is it? ¿Cuánto cuesta? So he proceeds to say, 20,000, 20,000 colones, $40. I looked over at him. ¿Cuánto? How much? 20,000, 20. So, nah, man, I don't know where you got that price. Never have I paid that much for a drive home. Never will I pay that much for a drive home. The most I've ever paid is 2,000 colones. Even the metered taxis, the red metered taxis that actually charges you by the meter, because we all use what they call piratas, pirate taxis, the gray market, just guys with a car that, they take you wherever, usually for a set price, whatever. But anyway, I said, even Los Rojos, the red taxis, even Los Rojos, at the most, charge like 3,000 colones for this trip. So I'll tell you what, I have 500 cologne coins, which was there were around $1 each. Reached in my pocket, I pulled out 500 cologne coins, dropped them in his console. I said, "That's it. Fuck you, fuck all of you. I'm going home." So I grab my base. I get out of the car. In the middle of this argument, the other girl, not the one I had been talking to, but the other girl I hadn't spoken with all night, had jumped out of the car and ran around and was like trying to block the gate to keep me from getting through. So I had gotten out and slung the base on my shoulder, walked up, politely told her that, listen, lady, I don't hit women, but if you don't get out in front of my gate, I'm about to knock you through the dirt. I suggest you move now. I grabbed the gate and start to push. And about that time, she screams, no, moves. And when I turn around, here comes the pirate taxi driver. He had jumped out, and I seen he had a machete in his hand. Oh, excuse me. So he's got it. Just happen to have a machete here. He's got it back over his head, coming at me on a downstroke. Instinct kicks in. I throw up my hand. Mind you, I grabbed a cigarette to show you. I'm holding a cigarette in my hand. I throw my hand up, and as I do, the part of the machete here that doesn't have a blade, it's flat, made contact with my hand here, like that. Instead of a full-on chop, the blade came down, pop, and it hit me on the top of my head. Laid me open. I got a nice scar. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of faded through the years. Had about a 4-inch cut here. Stunned the shit out of me. I turn like this. He takes the machete at that point, flips it, and starts taking the side of the machete like that, and smacking me, starting about here and working his way down my back. Smacking me with a machete, pretty similar to this one. At that point, rage took over. Every time he hit me, all it did is just piss the beast off even more. I finally came around and grabbed hold of his shirt and started pulling, ripped with everything I had to try to pull him to me. Well, it ripped. He snatched, he got away. He realized at that point, oh man, this guy's not going down. The big gringo's fighting back. During the middle of him bashing me, the girl that had tried to block the gate was able to run my pockets. Went in my pockets, grabbed what little bit of cash I had. I didn't carry a wallet and ID and everything around. Everybody knew me. Everybody knew who I was. No, police never bothered me. They all knew I was a ex-military guy, just doing my thing. I never really bothered anybody. The cops I did know and took care of, man. I'd buy them beers. I'd see him walk up while I was having breakfast. Hey, man, get this guy some breakfast. Typical Costa Rican stuff. The cops are for sale. I mean, that's just how it is. Third world country. Cops are for sale. You scratch their back, they're going to scratch your back. But anyway, so she was able to run my pockets, and she grabbed, I don't know, $50 in cash, the equivalent, whatever. She got that. As the guy ripped away from me and I had part of his shirt in my hand, he ran back, jumped in the car, and they peeled ass out of there. So here I am at the time not knowing, all I know is I just got chopped in the head with a machete. So I make my way back down the path, have this bass guitar, guarded this bass guitar like it was the lifeblood. They didn't get it. Jimmy Mac's bass got saved that night by me whipping it around, holding it to my chest. The whole time I'm getting slapped in the back with a machete. Make it back down to the main house. And Ishmael is there. He was there by himself. And he was had been asleep in a hammock outside on the little veranda. As I come running up yelling, just top of my lungs, Ishmael. He jumps up, wondering what the hell's going on, and he meets me in the yard, and he's like, Mo, what? Oh my God, what happened? Get inside. And he takes me inside, and we go in the bathroom and see my head, and at the time it was just blood, all because a head wound bleeds. Head wounds bleed bad. So I'm covered all my face, in my eyes, in my mouth, in my nose, all the way down my knees, just covered in blood. So he's trying his best to get the bleeding to stop. And he's, in the meantime, he picks up the phone, calls the Hotel Puerto Viejo, to Kurt. Got Checho on the phone. Hey, Checho, go get Kurt. Hurry. Rob's hurt bad. We need somebody here quick, now. So gets the bleeding stopped. got a rag on my head, and we make our way back down the path to where the gate area is. And when we had taken over this jungle lodge from some people that had robbed it blind, which that's another story. We had picked up some not exactly legal firearms. Well, he had grabbed one of them, a little pistol, had it with him just in case these people are down there or whatever. So we get down there. I'm sitting on a log over next to the gate, this thing pushed on my head. Ishmael's standing there in a Charlie's Angels pose with this little pistol. He'd never used a pistol in his life, didn't know how to even hold the thing. I finally had to tell him, let's put that fucking gun down, dude. You're gonna wind up shooting me and you both. Just put that shit away. You're doing no good. Nobody's here. Nobody's bothering us. So Kirk pulls up, and this little beat to shit, rusted all to hell Isuzu he was driving at the time. He pulls up. I jump in. I tell Ismail, go back up to the house. I'll be back. Kurt takes me to the hospital in Home Creek, which is a little further up the road away from Puerto Viejo. Gets me there. Gets me situated. He's like, listen, this is not going to be quick. I'll go ahead and tell you, you're going to be here for a while. I'm going to head back to the hotel. Here's a cell phone. Here's a spare cell phone I have. Hold on to this. When you know you're close to being done, call me. Either me or somebody else will come pick you up. So, okay. So, going to the back. This old Caribbean woman was the doctor on duty, and she looked at me. She's, you'll live. You're not that hurt. Put 4 stitches in a 4-inch long cut. Didn't hold it for shit. I wound up later crazy gluing it and getting it where it's not going to leave a massive puckered scar on my head for the rest of my life. And get back to the jungle lodge. Go in, rest for a little while. Make my way back into town. Now, I had some of the best friends I've ever had in my life down there that weren't the most ethical people. They let me rephrase that. They had astounding ethics. They had ethics that put most people I've known in my life to shame. But they had their own system of justice. We'll just leave it at that. Some of those friends saw me after I got out of my taxi and was walking up towards the hotel. Come running up, man, what the fuck? What been, man? What going on? So I told them what happened, and that it was a pirata taxi driver that did it. So word got back to the actual piratas in town. Description of the car, description of the guy, everything. And like I said, I had said earlier, I'm friends with all these guys. Every pirate taxi driver in that town I considered my friend. Every one of them knew me. I knew all of them. They all took care of me. I took care of them. Word got back to them, and they weren't happy. weren't happy. You know, that gives them a bad name. So anyway, about 3 days later or so, I'm back at the Jungle Lodge and I'm laying in the same hammock Ismail was asleep in. Kicked back on the little veranda there, still nursing my wounds, you know, still, I mean, this thing hurt, because it bruised the bone. It didn't just cut. I had a massive bone bruise. Probably had a concussion. Yeah. So I'm laying there in the hammock. I happen to look up. I see my buddy Tessa walking down the path, coming towards me. I was like, what the hell? So I just kind of sat up. Hey, Tessa, whopping. Whopping is a colloquial term in Puerto Viejo, short for what's happening. Whopping. Tessa, whopping, man. Say, hey, I need you to come out here. Can you walk? Yeah. Yeah, man, of course I can walk. What the fuck? Yeah, come on. Now, Tessa, he was from Bluefield, Nicaragua. One of the blackest guys I've ever met in my life. He was so black, his skin had a blue sheen to it. One of the best friends I've ever had in my life. Loved that guy like a brother. Tessa was my size. Tessa was, you know, a big guy, probably outweighed me by 30 or 40 pounds of muscle, solid muscle, you know. This guy grew up when he was a child. He used to drive a riverboat with Contra fighters up through the jungles in the war of the Contras versus the Sandinistas. I mean, this is when he was a 6-7-year-old kid. He would drive the boat and carry and drop Contra fighters off and stuff. You know, this guy, he wasn't a soft guy by any means. You know, the guy could probably take his bare hands and drive nails with them. So I got up and I stood there and he made his way up to the porch. He said, "You good?" I said, "Yeah, brother, I'm good." "Well, you're about to be better. Come on." Said, "Okay." So I walked down with him. We walk along the path. We're chatting back and forth. He's got a nice little bit of medication that passed back and forth on our way down. You get there and there's a little Nissan Sentra, a cream colored Nissan Sentra sitting there. Two guys in the back seat that were bigger than Tessa. Dreadlocks, whole 9 yards. I sat down in the front seat. Tessa got in the driver's seat. I don't know why in the hell Tessa was driving. Tessa never had a driver's license in his life. Didn't even know he could drive. So we get in. We drive into town. There's another car sitting there. A little blue Toyota. A little Toyota Corolla. Tessa pulls up beside him. Just nods. Does like that. So we keep driving. This little Toyota pulls in behind us. Follows us. We drive all the way south through town. And Puerto Viejo is basically on the border. You get to the end of Puerto Viejo, you go down, you got Playa Chiquita, a couple of little places, a couple of little small beach communities. And then you can actually make it to the river that's the border with Panama. And there's a road that goes up through the mountains, through the jungle and up through the mountain that goes down and then can come up to the actual border crossing with Panama. It's called Margarita Road. So we start up Margarita Road We get off a little ways. We turn down this little path off the road. We're driving through, I mean, we probably needed a Toyota Land Cruiser to make it through we were going, but we made it. And we pull up and we get to the end where we stop. So we all get out of the Nissan, walk around to the back. The guy in the Toyota's parked a little ways behind us. He's just sitting there with the car running. And Tessa had shut the Nissan off. We walk around to the back. They're all standing there looking at me. I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on, man? What the fuck's going on? Tessa takes the key, opens the trunk. That him? And it was. The guy that had given me that scar, and he was there with a look on his face, knowing his world had just ended. So I just looked at the guy and started laughing. Yeah, Mom, that's him. Tessa said, good enough. Shut the trunk. Go with my brother there. Okay. Went back. Got in the little Toyota. Our guy driving fires up a little medicinal something or another himself. Hey, Rob, you good, Mom? Yeah, Mom. I'm a fuckload better now. We backed out. Drove back into town. Stopped at a little bar. Got out. Bought him 2 or 3 beers. We sat there. Had a few drinks. Had a couple of more medicinal cigarettes sitting at the bar. I mean, this is third world country, Caribbean. About an hour later, the little Nissan rides by at the road, honks the horn. He said, okay, Ma, no more problems. Yep, no more problem. Got in the car, went back to town, enjoyed the rest of my day. That guy was not a problem for anybody. He didn't rob anybody else after that. You don't rob Rob. The moral of that story. Gotta love third world justice. That's the other moral.